Look at this little thing. It's called a TourBox, and despite its size, it is a powerful piece of tech for serious professionals. TourBox Elite is a one-handed editing console which has been thoughtfully designed for speed, and is the upgraded version from the original TourBox Neo. And it has content creators, audio, photo and video editors pretty excited and intrigued. Why? Because it's been designed with workflow and ergonomic simplicity at the forefront of their mission statement. So what can this little box of joy do for you? Let's find out. Play tape. Now, workflow in post-processing is everything as an editor. Getting projects completed quickly and efficiently is the name of the game in this fast-paced world of media design. And that's where the TourBox Elite steps up to the plate and humbly says to the competition, we can do it better and cheaper. The TourBox Elite is a one-handed editing console designed for almost any software, with built-in preset profiles for the likes of Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Capture One, DaVinci Resolve, and with an abundance of downloadable profiles for all of these programs as well. All three rotary buttons are also push buttons with combination actions on the console, totaling over 150 actions per preset, and can definitely fulfill all my needs in Lightroom or Final Cut Pro. Everything on here has a unique look and feel which is integral to its design because we don't want to be looking at the console while we edit. It's all about touch and feel. Think of it as like a big mouse on steroids with an extraordinary amount of possibilities. And that is where the TourBox software comes into play. So once this is installed, you can either connect the console via the USB-C cable provided, braided, very nice, or we can connect via dual Bluetooth 5.0, which is an upgrade over the previous model. Another thing worth mentioning is the dual channel ability, which can connect TourBox up to 2 different computers. No matter whether you edit on the go or work from home, simply click the dot behind the device and switch the connection seamlessly. So let's take a look around. On the left is our built-in preset list for programs like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve. But first, you need to connect the console to your editing program by clicking the linking button. Choose Lightroom Classic from the application list, click Save, and hey presto, Lightroom is now linked to your TourBox. It's that simple. Below the preset is a live map of the buttons which highlights as you hover over the main screen. Now, the best way to set up your console is by either getting to know the default settings which TourBox have designed, or better still, customize it to how it makes sense to you in your head. For instance, when I'm in library mode, the only actions I take are choosing an image, going from grid view to full image, zooming in to check focus, and rating the image, then back to grid. So let's set up the TourBox to fit my library process. In grid mode, what makes sense to me is to use the thumb dial to quickly move from slide to slide. So let's assign that. Find the dial section of which there will be an anti-clockwise and clockwise action. Click on the anti-clockwise, which opens up a huge list of Lightroom shortcuts and commands. Either scroll through to find which one you're looking for, or if you know what the shortcut is called, then simply type in the search bar, which in this case is slide. Previous slide is what I need, and click OK. Repeat the process for clockwise. Now if we head back to grid view, the thumb dial beautifully moves between the images. So what next? I like to go back and forth between full screen and grid. Now ergonomically, the side button makes sense because I can keep my thumb on the dial. Let's head back into the software, find the side button, then for full screen, which is actually called loop view, we can assign that. However, I want to use the same button to switch back to grid view, and we can do that easily. Show combinations opens up a double click option. Find the side button ×2 and assign the grid view to that action. Heading back into Lightroom, we can now flick quickly between the thumbnails with the dial, click the side button to go to full screen, and double click to return to grid. Boom. So while I'm viewing an image in full screen, I like to zoom in and check focus. And what makes sense to me is by using the side button in combination with the scroll wheel. So let me show you that. This is the scroll section, but we want a combination using the side button. Let's click to search and type zoom. Zoom out needs to be set for the downward movement and zoom in for the upward movement. Let's check that in Lightroom.
and it works like a dream. And one more thing we can do is assign an action to scroll press. Find that corresponding action and let's choose toggle zoom. Now within a fraction of a movement with my thumb, I can whiz through thumbnails, click for full screen, zoom into the image, zoom out, toggle zoom view, and return to grid. And I'm barely moving. Brilliant. The only other thing I like to do is rate an image. On the TourBox console are two little round buttons. In the console software, they are C1 and C2. I'll assign 1-star rating to C1, of which the keyboard shortcut is number 1. And C2 will be a star rating of 2. And within 2 minutes, I have the console exactly how I want it for organizing my library. So let's take a look at the develop module, which I've assigned the short button to open. And what's going to help you to begin with is by using these handy HUD menus. They're basically floating reminders of your TourBox settings. The D-pad corresponds to this kit section of 4 buttons in a cross. The top button opens the basic adjustment window for things like exposure, highlights, and shadows, etc. The down button for your details and effects. Left is color grading, and right is calibration and transform. So let's look at the basic adjustments. TourBox has designed this to be extremely quick using a finger and thumb. Finger on the scroll and thumb on the knob. You can quickly scroll down the list and make inputs with your thumb to make adjustments. How simple is this? And of course you can set the knob press action to reset those values. Another option you have is by hovering over that particular adjustment with your mouse cursor, and then all you have to do is turn the knob to adjust the values for even quicker workflow. You can even create your own actions and macros, which are basically multiple actions and commands. So let's assign the Tour button to perform 2 different tasks in Photoshop. I'll choose the Tour button, head up to macros, and create my first macro. I'll call it stamp and save, add an action, and on my keyboard hit Control, Alt, Shift, and E, which will flatten down all of the Photoshop layers into one layer, and a further action to export the file using the shortcut Control, Alt, Shift, and W. Save the macro and test it out. I have a bunch of layers here in Photoshop. Click the Tour button, it stamps the layers into one and opens up the export dialog box. Boom. You'll also notice that the profiles swap automatically between programs, and that's because we have auto swap enabled on the console. Another great feature on the TourBox Elite is haptic feedback when using the knob, dial, and scroll wheels. These can be globally turned on and individually switched on or off with weak or strong feedback, and it's quite noticeable in this position. Again, this feature is not available on the Neo edition. Video editors such as DaVinci Resolve Studio work seamlessly with the console straight out of the box, but of course fully customizable as well. I have the scroll set to zoom the timeline in and out, the main knob scrubbing the timeline at double speed, slowing to single frame scrubbing with the side key pressed. The dial controls the track volume. I can raise the blade with the tool button, ripple delete with the short button, and play the timeline using the top button, double clicking to enter cinema view, and plenty more where that came from.
The designers over at TourBox have given this new version a solid makeover from the original Neo. With upgraded materials, the outer shell now has a durable plastic design with antibacterial and fingerprint-resistant coating. This was a problem on the original design where users were complaining about smudgy fingerprint marks on that rubbery surface which would degrade over time. Not on this new one. In fact, it's a solid little tank, extremely durable, and actually quite heavy for its size. The advantage here is that with its rubber feet, this little sucker is almost glued to the surface of your desk. The buttons are plastic, but a pretty decent grade of plastic. Not cheap feeling like the price tag would suggest, which we'll talk more about later. The wheels and dials have good actions, and with the introduction of haptic feedback, you have that nice reassurance when you make inputs while you edit. The underside houses a battery compartment for AA batteries, which I thought was a bit surprising in this day and age of rechargeable lithium batteries being the norm. I'm not really sure why they opted for this route, but it's probably to keep the cost down, which is a good thing. And we also have Bluetooth 5.0 connectivity, which by its very nature uses low power consumption. So AA batteries they're going to last you a good while before they need to be replaced. FYI, batteries are not required if you're connected via the USB-C cable, which comes included in the box. The Elite version comes in 3 different bodies, either ice white, classic black, or translucent, which is this particular design here, and I think it looks wicked. No smudgy fingerprint marks. I'm a bit OCD in that department. All in all, I am surprised by the TourBox Elite. Pleasantly surprised, in fact. I own the Loupedeck CT, and I've been using this for a number of years, and while this is a good product, I have found some annoyances over time, and with the price tag being in the region of £469, the TourBox Elite comes in £200 cheaper. The rugged simplicity and speed of the TourBox is extremely appealing for the price. Solid Bluetooth connection, fast one-handed operation is undoubtedly a hit with me, myself, and I. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up by hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more photography content. I have a headshot photography course available on my website, so if you're interested in improving your portrait and headshot skills, then I'll leave links to that in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.